stressful conditions as a radio announcer. It always amazes me. So well done. I've got an interesting thing to talk about today. We last week, well, at the end of last week and early this week, we had a proposal from government put together on a government gazette about many changes to some of our labor laws. Now, I know that a lot of the TV stations, radio stations, and even newspapers have been panicking about these changes like they've already been implemented. They have not been implemented. So let's not panic at the moment. I know many of the employers out there are phoning me. Today I've had, in fact, over a dozen emails saying, what does this particular chapter mean and what does that mean? It's over 100 pages of amendments to our labor laws, and we suspect it's going to take anything from 12 to 18 months for these to start probably getting some traction. The unions have threatened to go to court to stop it, to stop some of the things. They're very angry about some of the proposals. I know that some of the political parties have threatened to go I mean, like, you know, the DA always goes to fight these things. And I know that some of the big companies are also very unhappy about some of the changes. So let's not panic. Let's not jump overboard. And let's have a look, just have a cursory look. I know that I only have a few minutes on your station, and I'm always privileged to have the few minutes, but let's just have a look. Some of the negatives, one of the big negatives that they're trying to propose, and government's been pushing this for years and years, is that they want to make everyone an employee. We call it the gig economy, GIG economy, where people do 2 hours here and then next day 3 hours and then work for a full week. For instance, if I want to be an actor in a film and they're going to put me in a position where I'm a tree, and I can stand there and be a tree for 2 hours on one particular day, and then they want to reshoot it, and I'll be a tree for an hour 2 days later. They are looking at that industry and saying we're going to try and make sure that Michael Bagraim will become an employee. I'll have to be registered for UIF, workman's compensation, PAYE, get special holiday pay, sick leave, and all that. It just doesn't work in the film industry. It won't work, and it can't. And in fact, a lot of the foreign companies have said, well, we'll rather go and employ people elsewhere, not employ, but engage and contract people elsewhere. We'll go to Mauritius or to another jurisdiction. So now that whole concept seems to be spreading across the whole gig economy in South Africa. And we all know, and we feel very sad for all those motorbike drivers. You know, the biggest motorbike club in the world is here in Cape Town. It's called Checkers Motorbikes. It's the biggest motorbike club. In fact, it's more dangerous than the Hells Angels. But that motorbike club is not employed by Checkers. It's not even employed by the company that hires out the motorbike. And the problem with them is we're trying to find out who is the employer. Is the employer? Are they working for themselves? Do they have any protection? Well, the answer is very vague. And yes, we do need to somehow clear that up in that particular industry, because there are thousands of these motorbike drivers throughout the country. And if they get knocked over, well, that's their problem. No one wants to know them. And they're the ones that have directly hired the motorbike, so they've now got a liability to the motorbike company. And there's a big confusion. It's the same with Uber drivers. Who actually employs the Uber driver? Is it Uber themselves? They're just handling the platform. So Uber, so we don't even know who the man is. We give him, he presents us with credentials. We give him the ability to use the app, and we're not really interested in having him as an employee. The true employer at that point is actually the owner of the motor vehicle. Who's the true employer, although they still look at it as an independent contractor. So we do need to try and sort something out over there, because what happens to the Uber driver who owns his own car? Who employs him? Is he employing himself? Does he have to register for the compensation fund, UIF? What does he do? So all these things are very much in the air, not easy to try and implement. However, there are some good suggestions for employers. One of the good suggestions is recognition of small businesses. Doesn't go far enough, It says if your business employs less than 50 people and you've had the person and your businesses have been registered under 2 years, well, then you could hire and fire at will and you won't have to go through a disciplinary hearing. Well, great. They've also said while a person's on probation, you don't have to go through any sort of hearing. You don't have to give them a reason. You can just terminate while they're on probation, as long as the probation isn't being bastardized in the sense that you employ a domestic and you put on a year's probation so you can avoid all the labor laws. That's not going to be acceptable. So there are some wonderful things coming out of the amendments, but there's some horrific nightmares that are coming out of it as well. But one big thing that I've been, and especially here on the station, I've been pushing is how bad some of the bargaining councils are. And the new amendments, well, they haven't come in as amendments yet, but they've been approved by the cabinet, are saying that small businesses can get exempt from the bargaining council. So, and I've been pushing this for years, for over 20 years now, when Tito Mboweni, who was then Minister of Employment and Labour, well, it was just Labour then, the late Tito Mboweni, he said that small businesses should be exempt from the bargaining councils because it's just creating more admin and more costs. And now they're actually putting it on paper and suggesting it. So at the end of the day, what we do know is that the reality is these businesses will, sorry, I apologize, I had an interruption here. These businesses will be able to now say, for their small business, they'll be able to say that we've got an exemption because we're a small business. So, and that makes things a lot easier. So at the end of the day, we will be getting amendments to the labor law, and we will, at the end of the day, also have some good things and some bad things, but this will be debated, panned out, gone to court. I know that some of my clients are threatening to go to court as well. So it's going to take a few years. Let's not panic. But thank you for listening to me today. I really appreciate it.
We always appreciate you, Michael. Thank you. And I think you always say that, your free offer for that first initial email regarding the labor law sparks quite interesting conversations. Is it still on offer?
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be about this conversation. It could be anything to do with labor law, anything to do with your employees, or if you are an employee, what your rights would be. I'm happy to answer that. And my email address, if you've got a pen and paper, write it down. It's Michael, Michael, at Bagraims, BAGRAIMS.co.za. Please drop me a line. I'm always interested to hear. And in fact, a lot of the listeners do come back to me. So thank you for that. It also keeps me on my toes. So thank you.
We appreciate you, Michael. Thank you so much for today. You look very well for a Friday and a long
Thank you.
week behind
Yeah.
you.
Well, I'm looking forward to a weekend rest and recreation. Thank you.
And a